I will talk about jQuery in short here as a refresher for everybody. In order for you to understand jQuery, you should understand HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, as it does take help from these guys. jQuery, the main idea is it's a set of JavaScript library, and it allows you to write less and do more. That's basically the idea. So it's a JavaScript library. So that pretty much defines its purpose. It is basically making your life easier for communication while still using JavaScript. So JavaScript cannot automatically do a lot of things that jQuery can do in a very short amount of time. For example, we can say that jQuery simplifies communication with Ajax, which we'll talk about later on. So in short, jQuery contains some of the basic features which allows it to do some CSS manipulation, HTML manipulation, event handling, effects and animations, talking to Ajax, and some other things. In order for you to work with jQuery, you need to incorporate a JavaScript file or a library, which comes from Google, Microsoft. However, you can also download one if you don't want to tap into the online one. But it's used by some of the major corporations in their websites. For example, Netflix uses a lot of jQuery. So if you download the jQuery from jQuery.com, you can then use that jQuery-3.4.1.min.js. It's a JavaScript library, or you can directly tap into the one. Now, the other thing that you have to see, I'm home, so the phones are ringing, right? Okay, so the other thing we got to see is the jQuery syntax. So jQuery syntax. In jQuery syntax, we see the use of a $sign followed by a selector followed by some kind of an action. So what's the whole purpose of a $sign? A $sign is to define jQuery. A selector to query or to find HTML elements. And then a jQuery action to be performed on the element. So for example, these are some of the examples of jQuery. Dollars, that is my selector, dot hide. So that's the action. So I want to hide the current element. Or I can say that I want to hide a class called menu. That's the name of a class in the CSS, and I want to hide that class. Similarly, I can hide an ID or I can hide by tag. This is just to show you an example of how jQuery can typically work. jQuery works with events, and one of them is called the document ready event, which generally takes the form of $document. That's a selector, right? And the action is ready. And what is this ready action supposed to do? You can write an unnamed function on the fly with a body. So what happens is when the document becomes ready, it calls this function, and whatever code you write in the body of the function, so you can say the jQuery method code goes here. So this pretty much will run. So if you were to do something like this in JavaScript, in a vanilla JavaScript, will take you a lot of efforts to do that. Now, in some cases, you may also see a shorter version of this. I will show you how a shorter version looks like. So shorter version, which may not work in all browser, but there is a shorter version. Okay, now let me take this further and actually look at an example and fill in the blanks. For example, when the document becomes ready, the function should do this, that the button, when clicked, should do the following activity. So as you can see over here, that you can nest these selector action combinations. So when document becomes ready, then the button has a click event, ready. When somebody now clicks on the button, so whatever you write over here will be done, such as, I want in my page that all paragraphs be hidden. So on a single click, all the paragraphs in your entire document will be hidden. So pretty much, I mean, like, it's something that is very hard to do if you're using a simple, I mean, like, would require a lot of code if you're using Java, purely, I mean, like JavaScript. So, similarly, something very similar can be done on a class. Something very similar can be done on an ID. And there are some other things that I want to talk about in terms of selectors, not the actions. So jQuery selector. So as I told you, the jQuery selector can be an element name, can be a class, can be an ID, or you can also use an asterisk in place of a selector. And everything has to go in double quotes, which means all elements. Also, I told you that you can use a this, which means the current element. Okay. Also, you can say that I want to hide only that paragraph which is called first. So it will only hide that paragraph which has a class first. Okay. Similarly, you can say that I want UL, and remember, all of these will be written in the double quotes as I showed you in the previous slide, inside the double quotes right here. Wherever I wrote the button or the P, that's where all of these selectors will go, okay? Or you can say UL, LI, first. So it selects the first LI element of the UL. Or if you do something like this, it means first child, LI, of every UL. Also, you can select attributes. So if you say, for example, I'm writing full syntax for attribute so that you could see how it goes. So if you write an attribute like this, It means select all elements with an href attribute. Similarly, you can also use CSS pseudo elements, such as I can say, for every even row in the table, I want to do this. So all of these are different examples of how you can write your selectors.